Gamers, F1 enthusiasts, and friends of the drivers who will be racing today at the Bwoah Racing League, welcome for the Austrian GP. I say Australian, wow. I'm Sarthak, your commentator and host, along with Rudra as always. How are you doing, Rudra?
Very, very fine. How are you? This rather hot afternoon.
Yep, rather hot indeed. And let us see what we have in store for today. Thoughts on Austria, the RedBull Ring. I know you play a lot of Formula 1, so give us your thoughts on this track.
I mean, Bwoah is one of my favorite tracks on the calendar because it's one of the few high-speed tracks where you can just let it free and get the true power of your car down onto the track.
Yep.
And it's also helpful that there are 3 DRS zones, so you really like to just fly on the track.
Of course. And as we wait for the drivers to lobby up, thoughts on who might come out victorious today, because last time around we saw Freeze taking the win at the French GP, which is, for him, it was the first time on the podium and a first time win. So it was always nice to see a different driver on top. But yeah, it could be anybody's race, but my bet's on the Supreme Leader for some reason. I feel he's in perfect form, even though he's switched from Racing Point to Renault. What about you? And I'm guessing Rudra seems to have some technical issues. Nevertheless, as we wait for the drivers to ready up, if you're a FPS player, you would know those slangs. And if you're in the chat, why don't you drop who you're here for, who you're here to support, which driver is your friend, and who do you think will stand a chance to come out victorious at the Austrian GP of the Bwoah Racing League. First off, short qualifying, as always, 18 minutes for each driver to set a fastest timed lap, which will pretty much determine their grid position for the race.
Yes, Sarthak, sorry for that.
No
there seems
problem.
to be a little bit of a gloomy weather patch here. I hope we have a clean weather in the race at least.
Yep, no problem at all. I think everyone who plays the Formula 1 game and anyone who stays in India will relate. So I don't think that would be much of an issue. So as I was asking, who do you think will come out victorious? My bet's on Supreme Leader, but then again, I'm just speculating.
I would have picked him as well, but then, like I mentioned earlier, that Spielberg is a very, very fast track, and if the past races are to go by, I think the best driver currently on raw race pace is Accelerate, and it'd be interesting to see if he can grab the podium or even the win in the first few laps itself.
Indeed, and I have a feeling Accelerate could pose an issue for Supreme Leader. Let's talk about Sick Nig, right? He was someone who really caught our eye last time around with his aggressive driving style, which is not something he usually does. He doesn't usually drive like that, clearly. Do you think he'll come out on top somehow? And seems like we have a network issue once again, folks. And of course, Nische, who's Rusty Nish here in the Bwoah Racing League, who will be driving for Ferrari, is in the chat. I don't know how he's doing that. Pretty sure he's using a phone. But yeah, let's go, boys. And UK also showing support for himself. UK FTW. I don't think you need a dictionary to know what that is. And yep, short qualifying. I see 8 people right now tuning into our live. Please make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for, which friend you're here to support, and who will come out victorious. And if you're a Formula 1 fan, you'll know today is the 70th Grand Prix in real Formula 1. And of course, looking forward to that, even though Mercedes-Benz continue their dominance. But if you're a Ferrari fan, not too ideal. Nico Hülkenberg's back on top. Again, he's just filling in for Sergio Perez. Black flag for UK, says Nishchay. He's basically predicting a few things. UK will spin around red flag, says UK himself. And looks like we're waiting for a couple of more drivers to lobby up. But as we do, let's make sure we get in the chat all your opinions. Who do you think will come out on top? The Austrian GP of the Bwoah Racing League. And of course, we'll have Srivatsan joining us soon with some insights of certain incidents which could happen on track, as well as in general what's going on between the teammates of each team. Of course, we wait as we are set to go for short qualifying soon. And yep, we're away. Yep, Austria.
Well, it's like I got back in time.
Yes, perfect timing in my opinion, Rudra. Perfect timing. And UK says, give some airtime for me today. Of course, we'll try. No promises on that.
It's actually based on whoever picks us the most for broadcasting rights, you know. It's a little bit hush hush.
Hush hush indeed. Okay. Rusty Nish is in racing today, asked Vinil Reddy. He is, man. He is. And he'll be racing in the Ferrari. So you'll get to see him probably in the top 5 if he has a good race day. Of course, 6 people tuning in. 10 just 2 minutes ago. I'm guessing we got boring or someone had to go for a quick bite. And yep, as we wait for the servers to do their duty. How will qualifying in Austria go? Seems to be we've gone into the wrong version of qualifying. It's showing lap 1 out of 3. Oh, nope, I was right. 18 minutes of qualifying begins here at the Austrian GP. And I would predict, like you can see, KDB's name right there. He could possibly qualify top 10. It would be amazing if he does in the front row. But as he said himself, it's difficult for him unless it's a street track, given the nature of his car. Rudra, are you with me?
You might be right, Sarthak, because if our past viewers were to recall, KDP did not even set a lap time for Paul Ricard. And that was very, very surprising. And it wasn't a good race in general for him.
Yep.
And he is hoping not to repeat the same issue again, but like he said that he is having to switch between F1 2019 and 2020, and that can really mess with your handling system.
Indeed, like we've heard from many drivers in fact, and he DNF'd in the race to 0 Hour League a few days ago, KDB, so that played a huge role for that DNF. And it's a Red Bull out first out of the pits at the RedBull Ring. Sick Nig, like we were talking about him a couple of minutes ago. Of course, Forza Ferrari is the word in the chat for this chair. And of course, Avocado, who won't be joining us today, unfortunately. And Rocket Man will not be joining us as well, along with Cygnus Raghavan. But of course, we've got second race for Harry Rocks 24, and he's got a new teammate, Only Kapi. Do we call him Only, or do we call him Kapi?
You can compromise and call him OK.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good one. I didn't think of that. Yep, and it's the McLaren and Red Bull seem to have started racing, with the McLaren going a little off track there.
Maybe they were just trying to catch some slipstream off of each other. But not a particularly good idea for Austria.
Of course, we could see multiple drivers try different things. Sector 3 just went yellow already. I'm guessing the driver's going incredibly slow. Of course, most of them still in the pits. Couple of them out on their out lap as Supreme Leader goes through Sector 2 in Renault. I'm actually surprised that he still has the pace regardless of switching from Racing Point to Renault.
It is literally a downgrade in my books, but that just shows how adaptable the drivers are. And not just him, both of the Racing Point drivers have come up to the task for Renault.
they have, and he just set sector 2, a purple sector, and it'll be interesting to see. Yep, the first one to set a lap time, 1 minute 6.656 on the softs. Of course, Rusty Nish goes a second, just over a second slower in the Ferrari. Of course, sector 3 yellow flag again. I'm just thinking about how the Austrian GP of 2020, the real F1, went on. This is giving me some good memories. The first race was insane, wasn't it?
It really was. I mean, people were honestly surprised by the results that we saw, but they did not think that the results were any less unwarranted. I mean, sure, there could have been a few more changes, but it was the perfect start you could have to the season.
Yep.
And everybody got the deserved positions.
A lot of people were under the perspective that since the first Austrian GP had close to 9 DNFs, if I'm not wrong, they basically felt the constructors, the teams, weren't as prepared as they would have been usually at the start of the year at Australia.
Can be a possible explanation. If you were to look at it, most of the teams, they don't just have, I mean, not most of the teams, even like at least all of the teams, they have to determine on what kind of track conditions they'll face as well as the weather. What they would have put out in Australia and what they would have put out in Austria is a huge difference. And it was visible immediately in the first race, but they sort of caught up to it after the second race.
And of course, as we saw, Mercedes dominance, it's like they're unstoppable at this point. And since we're on the topic of Racing Point, thoughts on the recent verdict, Rudra, on their brake ducts?
I think that Racing Point was at fault, and the funny part is that they were at fault without realizing they were at fault. They found a loophole, there was a grey area, and they exploited it. Hats off to them for finding the loophole, but then you just can't go about copying the parts and calling it a technical issue, right? If that was the case, all the customer teams would just buy all the parts from the works teams.
Facts.
And that's just not how F1 works.
Yep, facts indeed. And sorry about that slight stutter in the stream, but yep, that's how F1 works. Interesting to see what will go down in the days to come in real F1. But today's topic, sector 1, 2, 3 goes yellow. I'm guessing someone went off track. But Rusty Nish coming out, he dropped in the chat quickly. What a terrible lap by Rusty Nish. He demands quite a bit from himself. Sector 1 and 2 yellow again. It's going to keep going yellow, folks. And looks like a bit of rain, or am I wrong? Nope, not rain.
Just feels dark at this point, but
Yep.
I would not just write off rain right now.
Yeah. Of course, on board our French GP race winner, Freeze. He'll be looking to repeat last race's result. And of course, he was mentioning in the post-race chat that he enjoys this track very much. As he begins his fast lap, let's go on board with our French GP race winner around the track. The RedBull Ring. As he goes through sector 1, doesn't have anyone in front of him, but there is a Renault who will give way. Yep, that's Supreme Leader there. Going around the corner, well placed there. Looking to the limit. He enjoys himself at every race, regardless of the result. Of course, Monaco wasn't too bright for him. If you remember, Rudra, he lost his front wing and he went into the barriers, into the wall actually.
Yes, sad day for him. And maybe that is what pushed him to do even better. And he actually managed to get a P9 in Canada, which was very good considering Mercedes' form this season. And then it was a humongous upgrade from Canada to just clinch the first position.
Yup, and he sets a fantastic time here with a 1 minute 6.293, putting him right behind UK, who's just tenths of a second off of him. Yep. And we shall see who can qualify pole. 10 minutes to go here at the Austrian GP. He seems to be much better than earlier on. Harry Rocks and Big Man Joe seems to have connection issues, unfortunately. Of course, UK, the man on provisional pole.
Interesting to see how Ferrari and Red Bull cope up today, because for this race, both of them are essentially one-man teams, with the other person being AI.
True. Yep. And looks like Freeze's lap got invalidated back there. The one he was currently on. Looks like he went off a bit. Sector 2 and 3, a yellow flag. And UK still holds provisional pole. Seems like KDB hasn't even set the lap time yet. He does this often. He did this at the race to 0R2. He takes his time to set the qualifying lap since recently. Could it be some kind of strat? His own personal strat?
Since you mentioned the race to 0R, he did the same thing for the French GP as well. Not going until there were just 4 minutes left.
Yep.
And I guess he might be waiting for the track to get more grip because of the other drivers, and then try for a one-shot quali or something.
Possibly.
Looks very likely.
Yep. Very likely. And the two McLarens together, Mr. Wex and Gouts, they were, well, not too pleased with our streaming skills, so to speak, since they pulled off quite a bit of team strat last weekend. Turns out they Gouts gave Mr. Wex his position, considering they were on different strategies. So unfortunately we missed that, but of course teamwork at its finest at the league, as always.
That really brings to my mind the Schumacher Barrichello that we saw quite a few years ago.
Of course,
where Barrichello was asked to step down, and Schumacher felt so bad that in the next race he steps down and gives Barrichello the win. That was team spirit at its finest.
Yep. Indeed it was. And looks like both Freeze and Big Man Joe are on the outlap. Big Man Joe set a beautiful lap time. They're putting him at provisional P3. 7 minutes and say about 35 seconds right about now left for shock qualifying to end. Looks like sector 1, 2 and 3, pretty much all the sectors going yellow frequently. We shall wait to see who can set a brilliant lap.
The constant yellow flags are arising because of the drivers exceeding track limits. Given the high speed nature of the circuit, it's very easy to go off track.
I see, and looks like it's a frenzy here. 2, 3, 4, 5 were on their outlap and Accelerate, Wix D56. Of course, it'll be interesting to see where Accelerate will place himself this race. Mighty lad. Always enjoy having him on the post-race sessions, and of course we enjoy seeing him battle it out very cleanly, so to speak, on track as well. And looks like Setu RC18 goes into the pits. As let's go on board Mr. Vex, whose lap just got invalidated, like Rudra said, after going beyond track limits. Exceeding track limits is going to cost a lot of drivers, because only Kapi on board, only Kapi, who's making his debut here at the Bwoah Racing League. Can these two
cringe in the chat for this, but I feel that OK is doing an okay job so far.
okay okay then. And that's I was just asking you, Rudra, thoughts on whether the Racing Points, the two new drivers in the Racing Points in the league, can actually fill in those shoes of the previous two who showed quite a dominance early on in the league.
That is a very interesting question. I mean that Harry Rocks didn't have the best of races last week, but given it was his debut, he finished P13, which is admirable. But yeah, Racing Point will start from 0 points, of course, because the entire team has been overhauled. And it'll be interesting to see till what position can they climb, because the season's already underway. And yeah, best of luck to them.
Yep, up to them. It'll be interesting to see. And of course, Harry Rocks 24 had mentioned that it wasn't the best of his days, the previous race, and he's yet to show his true potential. So it'll be interesting to see. Meanwhile, Freeze set the fastest lap time, beat UK 1 minute 5.729, and they're in the pits. Supreme Leader meanwhile beat Big Man Joe's time and is at provisional P3. Say about 4.5 seconds to go, minutes to go, my bad, at shock qualifying here at the Austrian GP.
What currently makes me wonder is how X-Raid is at P9 right now, when I easily predict a top 5 qualification for him because of his racing style. But that does not seem to be working right now. Hopefully there's a miraculous lap at the end.
Hopefully, indeed. Let's see if it's possible for these drivers to set the fastest lap time. And looks like all sectors went yellow again. Drivers being naughty and going beyond track limits.
Supreme Leader even going off the track limits in the pit lane.
Yeah. Yep. As they
That's
go.
not something you see every day.
Yep. Indeed, it's not. Let's go to the track itself. Rusty Nish, the Ferrari. That was quite an event too. Rosso Corsa Red. Battle for Rosso Corsa Red. The Bahrain GP caught our friend Gouts off guard.
I mean, it's been 1.5 weeks, almost 2 weeks since
Yep.
that event, but it's still fresh in my mind.
Yep, it is.
I'm assuming it is for you too.
Yes, it is. It's quite entertaining. And we shall see what Rusty Nish can make of his Ferrari today at Austria. 3 minutes to go here at short qualifying. KDB has set a lap time, and Toro Rosso and Renault comes out of the pits. KDB's lap time only gives him P8 so far. Again, there's a lot of time to go, considering 2 minutes and 44 seconds and counting. Looks like most of the drivers are in the pit, but UK is out and about. Number 69, UK in the Haas. His teammate and him do quite the brilliant job, so to speak, in the race. Both the Haas's make sure they're communicating with each other effectively, and they finish pretty high up in the order.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really general sense of helping each other out rather than boosting one another.
Yep.
So you would never find one of them languishing in the bottom while the other's fighting for a podium. There's always a great sense of collective sharing. And they finished P5 and P10, if I'm not wrong, in the last GP, which was a really good feat considering how badly the race was going until half of the race was over.
Yep. It was brilliant by the Haas team. And looks like only Carpi has left this session. Seems like connection issues once again. And as you can see, multiple drivers exceeding track limits and sectors going yellow. Free still holds provisional pole as we possibly come down to the last minute of short qualifying soon enough. And the Haas there letting all his competitors go by.
Whoever wants to get a last lap has to leave now, or else they will not be able to set a flying lap.
Yep, we got about 6 drivers on their out laps. So let's see what happens in the last minute of short qualifying at the Austrian GP. Nischay says pole no chance, going to be a difficult race in the chat. And of course his friend Vinil Reddy says try coming out in the top 5. And I think he should be able to, if I'm not wrong. And cheeky business by every driver, exceeding track limits time and time and again. UK going into the pits in the last 30 seconds, not something he would do usually. Freeze still out on track.
An end for a session.
Up he's going
as well.
Yeah, going into the track. If they don't come out in the next 15 seconds, which is highly unlikely, seems like they've already set the times.
regardless, nobody can set a flying lap now until the person, like whoever have crossed the finish line. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yup, as of right now, it's provisional pole for Freeze UK, locking out that front row and Supreme Leader at provisional P3. But Big Man Joe looks like he's on a fast lap, and yes, he is.
Pole. He has like 7 seconds to go.
But 7 seconds to go. Oh, his time got invalidated. His time got invalidated after exceeding track limits. He will have to be happy with P4.
So he'd rather taking it calmly because he knows P3 has been guaranteed for him.
Yep. And doesn't look like he's really pushing. So I'm guessing he's gonna stick to P3. Starting the race off at P3. Of course, Hyrox 24, Rusty Nish in the pits, which means, yep, Freeze will hold pole at the Austrian GP. Good for him. He was P2 last race, and now he's P1.
See, that Signic has been great. I wonder what happened with him.
Unfortunate for him. Seemed like he disconnected, but regardless, yep, it's a front row. Freeze UK, and then P3 the Supreme Leader, P4 Big Man Joe. To wrap it all up, it'll be an interesting race for sure. Yep, as we wait for the drivers to get ready with their setups for the race. Nischay says head down and do well in the race. That's the goal. And as we wait for the players, seems like everyone's ready except Accelerate and only Copy.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to stop with these jokes. Yes.
Okay. We didn't quite get you there. Could you say that again?
I was saying that I'm going to apologize to the viewers in advance because I'm not going to stop with these jokes.
Of course. Who would? Who would? See, like Accelerate and OK seem to be still setting up their cars. Go Thunderbird, says Srivatsan. Interesting to see there.
Yes.
Like it's only okay. Okay, are we okay to go racing? I guess that's the question to be asked.
Interesting thought right now would be, where do you expect to see the most overtaking? Because we know that the first 5 turns are really, really good spots, but we just have to see how daring the drivers are. What do you think?
Yep, seems like we have tend to lost connection and we will be going back. Yep. Yep, for those of you in the live and waiting for the race to start, please wait as we begin. Yep. Well, it seems like we will be having a little bit of a change. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. And Rudra, thoughts on today's race, the real F1. Who do you think will come out on top?
Usually saying anybody other than Mercedes is just stupid at this point, but I'm going to keep my hopes up and hope that Hülkenberg gets his deserved win or at least a podium. That would make me the happiest. But yeah, that's the target.
Yep. We'll be able to see. I mean, it could be Nico Hülkenberg's first podium. So, I think, with respect to Nico Hülkenberg, pretty much all the drivers want to see him on the podium, and even a couple of the teams too. Even though it's in the, a debatable in terms of being legal racing point.
I would say that Hülkenberg is like the Ronaldinho of F1 in terms of how there is not a single person who hates Hülkenberg, maybe except Kevin Magnussen, but we don't have to talk about that.
I think there's like a remote sense of friendship there. I think it's a lot like Senna and Prost, but I could be wrong. But because neither drivers, I think it would have been much more clearer if both drivers were in cars capable of fighting for podiums, but clearly they've not been in that kind of position till date. But who knows in the future? That's why we keep. I think remotely a lot of fans, don't really understand that Magnussen and Grosjean have managed to stay in Formula One all these years.
True.
Yep.
You have to look at all the angles. Some teams simply can't afford the drivers, whereas some of them have to make compromises. And Hülkenberg was very unlucky to have missed out on a racing seat for this year. And this might be his last Grand Prix that he's driving this year, but we can hope that it's not the end.
Yep, we can hope. And as we wait for the race to start, seems like we're having a bit of an issue with setting up the grid and whatnot as we move to the unranked section, since the league, as always, Formula One game creating issues. But regardless, that's a little update on the Bwoah Racing League Austrian GP. Pretty sure you can see the wallpaper on your screens, but please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, and drop in the chat what are your thoughts for today's Formula One race. Who do you think will come out victorious, and what we could see on track battles. Of course, drop in who you support, which team, which driver. I for one am very keen to see Sebastian Vettel go to Aston Martin, if that actually goes through.
That does happen. All I wonder is, will Perez get unfairly booted out, because he should be the last driver who should bow out of F1.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, right? The most ideal driver lineup for them is Perez and Vettel. But Stroll is the owner's son. And that's like a complication in itself. So I think, in my opinion, if Lawrence Stroll can, differentiate between business and personal life, so to speak, but again, it's tricky. It's a very tricky situation to be put in, because it's not only him who owns the company, owns the team. He's got a couple of his friends. That it's a consortium. So yeah, I guess we'll see in the days to come.
Yes, that is true. One option for them, and the most plausible option right now, would be to move Lance to some other team. I mean, he had a stint at Williams not so long ago. He could return there and compete with Russell, because Russell and Stroll at this point would be in the same potential category as like both of them trying to break out, and maybe 1 or 2 seasons over there to see how the dynamics work might be a good option, because after all, Williams is a Mercedes partner team.
True.
And
Yep.
Stroll going to a Mercedes team makes the most sense.
Yep, it does. But then again, think about Latifi, right? Nicholas Latifi, he brings in immense sponsorship, but then again, with sponsorship, it's always, your days are numbered, because there could always be a bigger sponsor who wants their son to drive in a team, Formula One team. So yeah.
And I just remember that actually George Russell and Latifi have been confirmed for the next year. So
Oh yeah.
Stroll cannot go there.
Yeah, almost forgot about that, but that's cool. George Russell had some pretty positive things to say about his teammate, saying that people underestimate him because he was an actual incredible driver in F2. So I was surprised.
He is definitely underrated, but maybe it's just that the card that he has been given, like misfortunes he's been having every race, kind of put him in a bad light. But I have seen a few races of him in F2, and he is filled with potential. So maybe he just needs that tiny boost in any of those races. Like how Russell has been performing this season. Oh my god.
Incredible.
I was genuinely happy for him.
Of course. And as the drivers lobby up here at the Bwoah Racing League for the Austrian GP, we shall see where OK makes his debut finish at. Only copy. I think he's going to give us a little bit of a flack, for calling him copy, because I think he means copy. I guess his name is Kapilesh, if I'm not wrong, and copy is technically monkey in Kannada.
Oh, but yeah, his name is actually Kapilesh, which is why I prefer to go with a more neutral OK. So
Yep.
yeah, hopefully it's taken in jest, and yeah, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, no harm, no foul. Of course. And looks like he's qualified P14. Not too bad. His teammates qualified P6. Much better. And Mr. Wex again in P5. Weird thing about Mr. Wex, he manages to qualify brilliantly, but his finishes have always been, well, not the best. So it's like we're losing you a bit. We're losing you a bit, Rudra. You'll have to say that again, all over again.
That's the problem. So I'm saying that's like a little bit of a George Russell situation where you have incredible qualifying pace, but somehow fall short in the race pace. Maybe it's the car, maybe it's the strategy. Who knows?
Who knows?
Also, I just realized we are having our own Racing Point story in the Bwoah Racing League, where Racing Point is actually starting from scratch, and by a significant amount at that.
Yep. I think I'm a little too keen on F1 2021 at this point, just for the Aston Martin car, the livery. I'm very keen on seeing if they'll add in the green with pink. I don't know how that will go, but yeah.
Just see an Aston Martin Vantage in the shape of an F1 car. I mean, that would be the dream of dreams.
Yep. And I think we're all set to go. Yep, we are. It is race day at the Bwoah Racing League, Austrian GP. Let's go racing at the RedBull Ring.
I would be happy to see the bull before we start racing. I mean, that's an iconic statue.
I think the initial clips need to have the bull. Should. Could. Nope. Not quite. Just the track. And of course the beautiful... Yep, and the beautifully rendered Styrian mountains in the backdrop.
Like fantastic job for Cody's for like putting as much detail as possible in all of the tracks.
I know, right? Kudos to them. And we begin here at Austria. Looks like everyone's still ready up. I keep saying ready up, which is rather, well, what can I say? Scarring for the F1 drivers. I called a race a match a day before. So, ladies and gentlemen watching, feel free to criticize, but don't at me.
It's going to go a disclaimer before starting. Good job.
Good job indeed. Good job. Okay, let us see where OK places. Looks like not all the drivers are in. Doesn't seem like.
No, we are waiting the same. We see all the people waiting in the first floor. Just super excited to start.
Super excited. Session starts in 20 seconds, but seems like a lot of drivers are missing.
Almost releasing the fast forward now.
Okay, and yep, I did not take into account those who have not attended the race, and lights are out, and we go 15 drivers off here at the Austrian GP RedBull Ring, and the Haas of UK steaming ahead with the Renault right there, and the Renault's dropping incredibly. That Supreme Leader frees right on the tail of UK, Big Man Joe right behind as well. And looks like it's a frenzy here at the RedBull Ring. And around the corner they go off. McLaren Racing Point. Renault has stalled midway. That's Wix 356. Nope, that is Supreme Leader.
There was a big crash that we saw there at the exit of the turn.
Yup, Supreme Leader spun out. Unfortunate for him. He'll have something to say about that, I'm sure. KDB all the way in P14, and only Carpi on his debut at the back of the pack. Virtual safety car is out.
At least two different front wings break and fly off. So yeah, there's gonna be a drastic change in strategy.
Nope. There will be. As you're on board, Big Man Joe, who's on the tail of UK. All three sectors, yellow flag, of course. And looks like Wix 356 and Accelerate seem to have a bit of a fight. Too close to the wall there. Wix 356 coming in front of Racing Point rather aggressively.
That's a front wing flying. That's an end plate that flew. I think Accelerate has damaged his front wing.
Possibly, as drivers are dropping in position. Of course, the Red Bull is sick nig. Right there on your screen, Thunderbird on his tail will get that overtake as Sicknig goes wide. McLaren right behind, and we're on board Sicknig. He's got Gouts there. Gouts takes an easy pass there. So does Supreme Leader.
I think I can see some damage in front of Sicknig, right at his nose.
Yep.
Looks like he might have a damaged front wing.
Possibly, yes. And safety car is out. After virtual safety car, it's the safety car out, and looks like there's only 3 drivers with medium tires on track. And UK does his duly intended duty, and slows down. The Big Man Joe right behind him frees MP3, qualified pole, couldn't quite keep it. Mr. Wex behind him, Hyrox 24, Wex 356, Rusty Nish, Accelerate, and Thunderbird. Nice to see both the Toro Rossos close together. And of course, Gouts is way off his teammate, but I'm pretty sure we'll see quite a bit of activity here. Rudra, Haas in the pits, thoughts?
I am assuming they are going to go for another medium to medium strategy, because it's just the 3rd lap. There's no way these mediums are going to last for the entire race.
Yep. And looks like Sicknick's come out on the hards pretty early on.
Going for a 1 pit stop strategy, it looks like that.
Yep, seems like it, but Seto RC18's pit stop has made him come out at the back of the grid, while UK is in the front. So it's a Haas in the front and Haas in the back.
Maybe they might be saying hi to each other when
they
catch them.
Yeah, possibly. Might be incredibly amazing if we see Seto RC18 make an incredible climb from the back of the pack. Even that's possible, considering they're pretty much in touch with each other through comms, radio.
Yes. And I don't know if you noticed, but Thunderbird got a 5-second penalty for colliding with his teammate Accelerate.
Oh no.
That is unfortunate and sad at the same time.
Yep. Okay. Yep, that was Rusty Nish getting ghosted there. Of course, safety car tends to bring out all these issues every time, pretty much. So it's a hard time for the stewards to make decisions of a couple of penalties during the safety car as well. Exceeding track limits, 5-second time penalty for Rusty Nish. And I think Harry Rocks 24 got one too. And yes, we sure wait. Lap 4, still behind the safety car. We got UK. Number 69. And looks like pretty much the whole track, yep, apart from Accelerate and Setu RC18. Oh, even Accelerate's making up good time there. So, seems like the entire track is only within a second of each other, or just over a second in some cases.
This was a rare instance where the turn 1 was absolutely clean, but then everything just went to chaos the moment after.
Yep, it did. And race control says safety car in this lap, which means we'll see the boys go racing once again. Always, the starts after the safety car will always be interesting, and UK doing a cheeky job there, pushing the grid all close together, all within a second.
UK trying to push everybody back to get a great jump start.
Yep, and he launches, he'll come around the corner of last corner. Mr. Wex with a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings, and they're off racing again. And looks like Big Man Joe on. Oh, seems like the game has started its shenanigans again, showing Accelerate at P1. Ignoring yellow.
It was P15 now, so I don't know. Seems to be a very glitchy setup indeed.
Yep, glitchy indeed. And Big Man Joe on the tail of UK. So is Freeze on the tail of Big Man Joe. Harry Rocks 24 right behind them. Of course, it's almost a three-way battle here. It's Thunderbird, KDB and Gouts. And yep, Gouts trying his luck around the outside of KDB, but doesn't quite get it. KDB will try his luck with Thunderbird now. And there's a Renault right there too, the Supreme Leader. He'll be looking forward to make quite a bit of climb up. And looks like it's a McLaren who has spun out. Yep, it is Mr. Wex. Unfortunate.
That was a huge fall in the leaderboards from what we saw right now. And he's done the soft, so he might be able to catch up soon, but yeah, it's going to be a pretty long time.
Yep, it's going to take quite a while for him. And looks like Hyrox 24 has Big Man Joe to worry about, who dropped in standings. He had a moment too, I'm guessing. And looks like there's another car there, Freeze, with an issue, going off track.
Looks to have his front wing intact, all of his body parts intact, but I think it might be an engine issue.
Could possibly be. And the Renault and the McLaren close. Supreme Leader will try to be in attacking distance by the time they're at the DRS zone. Wix 356 on the tail of Freeze. Yes, he will try to overtake right about now. Yellow flag in sector 3.
Just catching the slipstream, but was it enough? Yes, it is enough.
Yep, and looks like Freeze has gone into the pits. And they're fighting KDB and Vix 356 wheel to wheel here. And KDB gets that jump, but they're still close. Signaling seems to have left the session, but KDB holds on to that position. He's not letting that go without a fight. Vix 356 down the inside, he tries, pushes KDB off track pretty much. KDB going wide actually, didn't quite push him off track, and Accelerate at the back of the pack. All down the inside, cheeky by Thunderbird, didn't quite get it. Didn't quite get it.
That's gonna cost a lot. That's gonna cost a lot of time.
Oh, did you see that though? Oh, wheel to wheel again. Thunderbird and Setu RC18 this time around.
It was a brave move, no doubt, but it didn't quite work out.
He was a little too quick down the inside line there. Quite the dive bomb. I almost thought he had it under control, but clearly he didn't.
Not everybody is Kvyat, sadly.
Yeah. Of course, the infamous Torpedo. I like him, to be honest. I like him just as much as I like Thunderbird. Brilliant racing
Now
here.
that I think about it, there are quite a number of similarities actually between Thunderbird and Kvyat in terms of the driving style. They both are really aggressive drivers.
Yep, they are. And of course, Thunderbird, known for setting the fastest lap time 3 times this season in 3 different races. And Setuasi 18 did try something there but couldn't quite get it. Mr. Vex, unfortunate spin. How?
Maybe Thunderbird is thinking of getting enough amount of fastest laps that we might rename it to the Bwoah Racing League Thunder Lap.
Oh,
Sounds good though. I like the name.
that's actually a pretty nifty idea, Rudra. We might as well call it that.
But for that, Thunderbird has to earn it first.
Let's make it interesting.
Maybe a challenge for him.
Yeah, maybe a chance for him. He sets the fastest lap time in this race, and we'll turn that post-race edition to the. We'll call it the Thunder
Weekly
Lap.
Thunder Lap.
Yep.
Yes.
And we call it the driver who set the Thunder Lap in the race of the Bwoah Racing League. Quite creative there.
Bad idea at all. Yes.
Yep, oh, it's a 3-way Renault, Ferrari, Williams here. KDB, Rusty Nish, and Vix 356. Yep, KDB making good place, and he sneaks one in, Vix 356. Rusty Nish lost.
Mentioning earlier, before the crash happened, it's always good to see these side angles because you get to see the glowing brakes of the cars. There's a tiny red ring that's going around inside the wheel, which just makes this look so much more cooler.
Yep, and
That's
if
a
you
nice little addition to detail.
and if you have a keen eye, that'll be absolutely amazing. And looks like we've got a couple of friends of Kapi. Okay, of course, and it says you're doing great, my boy, says Sanjukta. So, oh, and it's a McLaren which has spun out there. Looks like it is Gouts. Yep, Gouts this time around.
It was a bit of a tank slapper. I mean, he just went sideways for quite a portion of the lap.
Yep, McLaren's not the ideal day for them.
A little bit too much Tokyo drift.
Yep, oh, they're all over the
Instead of
place.
rush.
Looks like Renault and Racing Point, only Copy, had an issue.
The prediction was right. People are going all over the track because Austria is a pretty quick lap timed as well as a pretty quick track. You have to be really careful with your track limits.
Yep, and this time around, looks like it's a fight. Harry Rocks 34 and Wix 356. And of course, Harry Rocks 24 on almost on the gearbox of Wix 356. But it will be interesting to see. Yep, he will have DRS. Could he possibly make that dive? Nope, he doesn't. Being very cautious there. Oh, and he goes wide.
Very wide.
Yep, meanwhile, KDB.
Setu RC is also catching up pretty quick.
Yep, as expected by us. And KDB too. He's up into P4.
UK is just 0.3 of a second behind Accelerate. Accelerate is in P1 right now.
I am not too sure if that's appropriate. Seems like, you know, we had an issue where it said Accelerate was in the back of the grid and now it says he's in the front of the grid. Oh, but
This is very confusing. I
Yep.
am not. Okay, now it's himself.
Yeah.
It said itself.
yeah, so KDB is in.
Very weird.
Yeah, very weird. This game. Yep. Hey, Shivatsan. Yep. You have insights about possibly what's happening at the race?
Yes, I have got some quick updates for you. Update on Mr. Vex and Rusty Nish himself. Rusty Nish seems to have some wing damage and he was pitting to change his wing. And while he was shifting from the racing line and moving towards the pit lane, it seems to have upset Mr. Vex's vision a little bit, and they both had a moment over there, and that was the reason Mr. Vex states he has spun.
Oh, okay.
And another update on XLR8. He's staying in P3 right now. That's a glitch in the game. So he has moved down to P4. So he's constantly in P3 and not in P1.
It says he's technically at the back of the grid.
He's in P4 right now.
Oh my god, okay. Looks like the game with its tricks once again. Srivatsan with the brilliant insights as always. Thank you so much. We'll be hearing from him multiple times through the course of the race, of course. Yep, there's the reason for Mr. Wex's spin. Rusty Nish's front wing, broken front wing debris caused an issue. And of course we saw interesting fights here, the Toro Rossos and the Haas. As always, these two teams seem to be facing off wheel to wheel once again. Toro Rosso and Haas. Setu RC18 getting that position, and it's a McLaren and Renault right behind them. Mr. Wex, will he come out on top there? Oh, and yup, close, wheel to wheel. Round the corner they go. McLaren coming out on top, getting that position. Supreme Leader fumbling a bit. And right behind, and yes, Gauts has spun again. Lost part of his front wing. Sector 1, yellow flag.
Looks like he lost all of his front wing. That was a rather nasty collision.
Yep, and with only a copy. Yep, we've got a lot of friends from Copy's side. They're all saying, yay, only Copy, let's go win. And of course, his debut here at the Bwoah Racing League, at the Austrian GP of all the races. Perfect, in my opinion. And yep, the McLaren and Renault.
The top 8 finished would be very, very good for OK,
Yep.
given that there are 15 racers, so that would be a really good start.
Now, I mean, consider how Harry Rocks 24, who was in the similar position as only Copy the previous race, where it was his debut, and yeah, he didn't really finish that great, but then again, look at him now. He's in the top 10. He's in 6th position, as we see Mr. Wex, who goes into the pits. Only Copy gets a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings. And looks like 3 drivers are out with the hard tires. All front runners are on softs, and looks like the glitch has sorted itself out, and Accelerate is in P2. 24 seconds.
24 seconds behind though, that affected UK a free pit stop.
I'm guessing that is incorrect. I still have a feeling the game is glitching, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I barely see maybe a 1 second or a 1.5 second gap, but interesting.
Yep. And the Renault Supreme Leader making its climb up and on board Thunderbird, who will try his best to defend the Supreme Leader. You can see him on his right rear mirror, and yep, Supreme Leader will try to go down the inside. Nope, has to brake. Sector 1 and 3 go yellow. Of course, we got.
They're getting very, very toasty with the corner cutting.
Yep. Very toasty indeed. And yep, Supreme Leader gets that jump. Oh, Thunderbird being brave here. Doesn't quite get it. Oh, Accelerate. Accelerate in the middle of the track. Gets shunted by this Supreme Leader. What has happened to Accelerate today? Oh, he's coming back on track. There's a Red Bull there. He's being cautious. Good job there.
It was good. No. Oh, I almost thought he's gonna damage his rear wing. This is not gonna be good.
He's got to move quickly. Oh, he gets shunted again. He gets shunted again by the Rusty Nish. Oh my god. And the McLaren, what's happened to the McLaren of Mr. Wex? He's moved out of track. What a disastrous days for the McLaren and the Toro Rossos.
This was the 3rd pit stop of McLaren in 15 laps. That is not a good thing to hear ever.
Not good. But as we can see, Vix356 made the climb all the way to P3. I think KDB and Vix356 are the ones who've capitalized on this incredible 16 laps so far.
Thunderbird, Big Man Joe, and KDB will have to pit soon though. Their softs are 15 laps old, and I think they have another 3 laps to go.
Yep, and of course, Big Man Joe leading the race. Accelerate, it's a glitch there. He's back on top. Showing that he's back on top. Meanwhile, HarryRocks24 has gone down the pack after a quick pit stop for mediums. And of course, his teammate is on top at P7. He will be going into the pits soon as well. Sector 1 and 3 is yellow.
I feel like Big Man Joe and KDB both can pull off a 1 pit stop strategy. And that will make for some really spicy racing at the end.
3-second time penalty for UK after multiple warnings. Pulling off a 1-stop strat would be amazing. Looks like, yep, Big Man Joe went into the pits as I expected, and so did KDB. And they'll be coming out in the mediums.
So it is going to be a 1 pit strategy.
Yep, seems like it. But anything is possible as there is about 19 laps to go here at the Austrian GP. My math seems to be way off there. I have a feeling. Nope, I was right. 19 laps.
You are right.
Yep.
Yes.
My quick math seemed to be.
Quick math.
Yep, quick math seemed to have pulled off. And okay, the game is playing games with us right now. It's 356. Is he leading the race? Is a question.
I think he is, because he was P3 before Big Man Joe and KDB both went into the pits.
He was, of course, UK right behind him in a fresh set of mediums as well. And Big Man Joe. Setu RC18 will go in a pit stop anytime soon. Also in P4. And the horses seem to be close this time around. And of course, seems like he's enjoying that freedom right up in front for X356. But he'll be pushing to the limit, trying his best, making sure he doesn't quite lose out. While going into the pits, KDB off there. Unfortunate. He just came out of the pits too. And looks like Supreme Leader is the only lad with softs on track. He's got only copy to worry about shortly behind. And for the 9 of y'all who are watching us as we speak, as we watch the Austrian GP, drop in the chat who you here for. Pretty much I see a lot of Rusty Nish fans. We see only copy fans. I think since it is his first race, he's got a lot of support here today. Of course, let's see where he finishes. Right now he's looking good in a top 10 position. Again, lots to come.
So Sarthak, so far top 5, any surprises in it? I don't think so.
Any surprise? I think Wix356 outright, unless he can pull off a master strategy. I don't think he's going to be in the top 5 for too long, considering the only other driver there is Setu RC18, who's gone 16 laps on the mediums. Everybody else is in a fresher set. So I'm guessing if he can probably, go in, probably get a safety car out, which is highly unlikely unless an incident happens. Oh, DNF, what just happened? DNF, Mr. Wex goes, yep, he's out, he's lost his tire, if you can see. Yep. And I think Gults will be approaching Wex as well, if we can get a look at him. Yep, he's on the left hand side of your screen, folks. I don't know if you caught that, but yeah, he's lost his front left. The suspension broke. Unfortunate virtual safety car. Rudra, did you catch that?
Yes, I did. Oh, very unexpected DNF, to be honest. And,
yeah, and
he was literally facing the other way, so that must have been a pretty nasty crash.
Yep, and
we will surely get more details once Srivatsan heads out.
Yep, Srivatsan.
Quick update.
Yeah, of course. Tell me, Srivatsan.
Mr. Vex's controller got disconnected over there, hence the reason for the DNF. On a different note, Thunderbird seems to have had another issue. He had gone for a wing change and he has come out with new tires over there.
Okay, new fresh set of tires by Thunderbird, medium, and he's at the back of the pack. Thank you, Srivatsan, once again Brilliant insights. As it was unfortunate to see Mr. Vex lose his front suspension. Setu RC18 Supreme Leader getting that jump. Yep, and he will come out on top. Oh, and he gets shunted by Setu RC18 there.
We seem to have been joined by Mr. Vex right here in the commentary box.
Hey boys.
Yep, Vex is here. Mr. Vex, Vikas, what is up? What happened?
I don't know, my controller just got disconnected and I was lagging for no reason. Just gave up.
That's unfortunate. Of course, you had an initial spin, which of course Srivatsan mentioned that it was because of Rusty Nish's front wings debris. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Give us an idea on how much of an effect that had for you to just spin out, considering this is virtual racing.
I had to spin out, so I can't just reset the track and give others a hard time.
For sure.
I had to wait. I had to wait all the grid pass through, then I joined the racing.
Of course. And we saw that the McLarens were fighting Renaults quite a bit today, and the Renaults are still out there, and the McLaren seem to have had a tough time today with Gauts spinning off as well. Thoughts on that?
Yes. Supreme Leader had a good start. I was wheel to wheel with him at the first lap, I think so. And after the first lap, I had pressure from Wix when I was battled with Rusty Nish.
Yep.
And I don't know what happened to Gauts. I think Gauts had a contact with Only Copy.
Yep.
And he lost his front wing.
Yep. Speaking of Only Copy, he is fighting here both the racing points with Freeze right now. And of course, Mr. Vex, thank you for joining us. Tough race. Hopefully, next one you'll be able to do your bit as always. And looks like it's a racing point right behind the racing point. Will Harry Rocks 24 fight with his teammate any moment now?
The Racing Point are definitely performing better than we expected, but maybe not the level we want them just yet. But this is fantastic for the debut race, for sure.
Yep, both the Racing Points looking good there. Pink and white streaming ahead both in top 10. Rusty Nish in 11th right now, 4 seconds off of Harry Rocks 24. And the two Racing Points seem to have the shortest gap between each other compared to the rest of the field. But Only Copy seems to be in striking distance of Freeze, and he will try his luck down the inside. He does. They touch, and he almost spun out. Good work there. And yep, he got pushed out track. Harry Rocks 24 doing good there, controlling his car, making sure his teammate doesn't get hit.
It was job from OK as well. He was almost on the verge of spinning, but he managed to control his car. Fantastic job from both.
Fantastic drivers here. Both the Racing Points doing incredible. Of course, Sri Manasa says go Kapi. So I'm guessing a lot of fans today, a lot of friends here watching Only Kapi race in his debut. He will take slipstream. Yup, Harry Rocks 24 pulls around down the inside he goes, and he will get that position. Only Kapi going a bit wide there.
His turn to take the slipstream, and we'll see what he does with it.
Yeah, meanwhile, Rusty Nish and Supreme Leader seem to have been battling it out behind. And yup, he will get the position. Both Racing Points doing a fantastic job, switching places time and again. Brilliant racing by the two, keeping it clean as well.
It might actually help them get ahead because they are boosting each other by getting their slipstreams.
Yep.
And that might help close gap on the car in front of them, that is Freeze.
Yep, they've traded positions about 3 times already. As long as they can keep that gap at the same level, it would be great. And looks like Wix 356 and KDB accelerate. KDB dropping incredibly. Accelerate climbs up into P4. I'm guessing.
Nick has been doing a stellar job so far. P6. That was a very quiet race he's been having, but a good one.
Yep, and he's coming into the pits. Yep, for a switch in tires. Which one will he come out on? Some hard tires.
He's serving his stop penalty, I suppose. Yes, he was.
He was, and he will come out, win the softs, and right about at the back of the pack. And yep, we got only Kapi right behind him with the pit stop as well, coming out on the softs.
Almost hits the barrier of the pit lane. Maybe it's his nerves, I guess, being in a debut race and already facing so much in the race. But yeah, good to see him keeping up.
Yep, good to see him indeed. And looks like it is UK, Big Man Joe and Vic 356 in the top 3 right now running. And Supreme Leader and Rusty Nish fighting it out again. We seem to miss every moment. Unfortunate, but Rusty Nish will try again, and looks like one of the front runners are having an issue. Nope, they are not. False alarm.
AB is within striking distance.
Oh, and he shunted Accelerate, and Accelerate did a good job at keeping it together. And around the outside he goes.
Actually, it seems to be hit quite a bit. He is slowing down. I'm not sure if that's him being safe or if that's an issue.
Let's take a closer look. Seems like he's fine. Freeze and Thunderbird switching places meanwhile at the back. Yep. And they've got a Red Bull to worry about right behind. Of course, Thunderbird will hold on to his racing line, blocking off Freeze pretty well there. But Freeze is in a car with more pace. Could he try something soon? Yep, he will try down the inside. Yes, he will wheel to wheel down this corner. Mercedes AMG and Toro Rosso. But Thunderbird tries to hold on to that. Tries his best wheel to wheel once again. And he just comes out on top, Freeze.
Luca, and how Alonso made that move from the outside.
Yep, I think we lost you a bit there, but Alonso, where exactly? Oh, and they crashed! They crashed Toro Rosso and Red Bull. They have crashed. Rudra, are you with me here? Did you take a look at that?
I was just speechless because literally a minute ago we were complimenting Signig on being P6, and then we see this.
What a disaster. What a disaster.
And like I was mentioning earlier, where you couldn't hear me, I was saying that the move pulled by Freeze was very much similar to the one made by Alonso in Suzuka around the SR130.
Yep.
Where he goes from the outside in a slingshot move.
Yep, I remember that. Of course, a very similar one. And only Kapi with a 3-second time penalty. Oh, Signig and Thunderbird seem to be fighting once again. And last time around, it didn't seem that it was healthy. Interesting. I'm pretty sure Thunderbird will have some words to for Signig in specific. And yep, Supreme Leader sets the fastest lap time, rightfully so, in his Renault. Of course, KDB in P4.
A lot of drivers switching to the red
and
wheelies.
Accelerate off track once again after an issue, and he gets shunted by Setu RC18.
That was him being parked on the racing line, so he is kind of at fault here, but couldn't do much, I suppose.
Yep. And Rusty Nish had a moment there with Accelerate, and that's what triggered him to go off track that way. And on board Rusty Nish, who's 3 seconds off Harry Rocks 24. And Harry Rocks 24 himself has a huge, not huge, but 2 seconds. And Freeze seems to be climbing significantly. Accelerate, not his day, not his day. We could possibly see him retiring, but he is holding on. He is holding on.
The hards are not a good fit for Austria, and it's shown here. You need a lot of grip on this track. It's not about how long you can pull the tires, it's about how good the tires are. And I see a lot of tag marks on the track. There is grip, but there is no grip coming from him.
Yep, no grip indeed. Not an ideal race, but let's concentrate on the front runners with just 8 laps to go. Here at the Austrian GP, UK is steaming ahead. Wix 356 right behind him, and Big Man Joe in P3. The biggest gap, of course, is between Wix 356 and UK, so it could be UK's day.
is on the softs though. I think he could at least cut the gap by half, maybe by the 34th lap. And if that is the case, we might have a little bit of a fighting chance, but seems highly unlikely. Unless UK gets caught in something.
Yeah, and Thunderbird and Sicknig once again seem to be fighting it out. Oh, Thunderbird's gonna have a lot to say about this.
Sicknick going wide, getting a bit of the kitty later.
It's
Going
like,
wide again.
yep. Rather,
Sicknick is on 4-lap-old socks. He should not be losing grip like that. I wonder what's wrong. Is there something wrong with his car, maybe?
possibly after such a huge shunt into Thunderbird, I'm pretty sure there's a lot wrong with both cars. And he's
They
possibly
both seem to be going slower than usual.
and he's probably going to try something. Is he? Nope. Doesn't quite have. Yep.
Although he does get DRS now, I think.
Okay, the chat is going ballistic with Kapilesh. Kapilesh's name. Everyone saying Kapi, Kapi, and Kapilesh, you're my star, says Sanjukta, and woohoo. Yep. Yeah, he's got a lot of fans here on his debut race.
Means that Kapi has to do better than Peter now.
Yep.
It's his fans' support at stake.
But it'll be incredible if he finishes in the points, of course, on his debut at the Racing League, Bwoah Racing League. UK ahead.
If he finishes in the points, he'll already have done a better job than Harry Rocks did in the last race.
Yep. And what is happening here? How is Accelerate P1? I do not understand, but UK will overtake. Seems like the game is glitching and Accelerate is off track once again. I honestly think the game itself is glitching, but I could be wrong. Accelerate, probably the 6th or 7th timer off track. And doing a stellar job there, a Renault Vix 356 and Big Man Joe right there as well. Why isn't Accelerate moving off? I think there's a huge issue there. This will be reviewed.
I cannot wait until we switch to 2020 for the next season, because 2019 had this persistent issue with multiplayer.
But I feel this is an issue which persists even in F1 2020, because we had the Race to 0 Hour League. We faced the same issues. It showed a lot of back markers right up in front. So yeah, see, he's back at the back. So it does make sense.
Boys, got a quick update over here.
Yes, go for it, Srivatsan, back with us.
Yeah, so the incident involving Thunderbird and Sicknick, which seems to have happened in the same place. We had an incident with Mr. Vex and Rusty Nish. Thunderbird seems to have moved slightly away from his racing line, turning right, and that had touched Sicknick's left front tire, hence the spin from both sides.
Oof. Yeah, that was a nasty collision. We were predicting Thunderbird to have a few words on Sicknig, for Sicknig actually. It seemed like Sicknig was at fault there.
Thunderbird does not believe that it was his mistake. He believes that Thunderbird had punted him from behind.
Oh, okay.
And we might not have a Thunder lap today, as you had mentioned, because the Thunderbird is giving priority to race like his points now, so he wants to finish in points rather than going for the fastest lap.
Okay. Alright.
That's a shame. I was kind of hoping for a Thunder lap.
Yep. Thunder lap by Thunderbird.
And a quick update on the leaderboard now. XLR it is currently P5, UK is P1, Vix P2, Big Man Joe P3 and KDP P4.
Okay. That means we are not glitching, surprisingly. But yep, thank you once again. Yeah. Srivatsan, without him, this race is probably would have been a huge confusion for us based on standings at least.
I think we have found our Karan Chandrak now. Wouldn't you agree, Sattva?
Yeah, brilliant. Karan Chandrak indeed, much better than Karan Chandrak arguably.
Yes.
Yep. And looks like Supreme Leader and Accelerate did fight and Supreme Leader came out on top. And yep, 3 laps to go here at the Austrian GP. And of course, we've got Vishnu in the chat saying 2019 is outdated, bruh. Say bye-bye to F1 2019. Yep. but since we started this off in F1 in the F1 2019 game, we thought we might as well finish it there. And yep, we'll be moving on to F1 2020 later on next year, possibly once this league ends at the end of this year. But of course, Race to Zero Hour League, which we are in collaboration with Vid Esports, hosting it every Tuesday and Thursdays. That's happening on the F1 2020 game, and of course it is being live streamed as well.
Fantastic stuff going on for the esports scene.
Yep, and it's incredible that we get to be a part of it. And of course, UK currently leading the race, 13 seconds almost, the gap between him and Vix
Another
356.
3-second time penalty. Okay, might just drop maybe 2 positions, I guess, after the race. It's that close.
Possibly Big Man Joe will be looking to climb and at least fight for P2. He's 2 seconds off of Vix 356, Harry Rocks 24, getting that jump on accelerate, something he would have enjoyed doing. Going a little bit beyond track limits there. I think it's fantastic if the standings what we are seeing on our screens is right. It's fantastic that accelerates at P7, honestly, after going off track, staying off track, possibly going exceeding track limits multiple times. He's had a weird race, so to speak, and for him
he's
to
had a blender of race. It has just been so weird since the start, but I pegged him for P1 in fact, but him being in the top 7 itself is a great feat after looking at how his race went.
Of course, and looks like the Ferrari is on the tail of the Toro Rosso of Accelerate. Rusty Nish will try on this tail, pulls out. Yep, will get that overtake flawlessly. He enjoys himself in that car. He really does, Rusty Nish. Of course, Harry Rocks 24.
That's it after all, so he has to make the most of it, and he is. Thankfully.
Yep. And in the chat, everyone says Harry win it. So it's Harry Rocks 24 and Only Copy, who's basically the 2 racing points with all the support in the chat.
Pink is definitely the favorite color of our live stream today.
Yep. Indeed it is. Sanjukta, Vishnu, both of them really supporting their friends, Only Copy and High Rocks 24. But of course in the front, as we start the penultimate lap, UK right in the front, seems like he will have this race sealed. Big Man Joe could possibly be in striking distance in the last lap of this race.
The man is not good for P2, but whatever he has to do has to happen in the next 3 DRS zones.
Yep, it has to.
He is too far to get into now. He
Yep.
has to cover at least half a second.
And for all of you who are wondering why sector 1, 2 and 3 keep going yellow every now and then, it's because drivers are exceeding track limits, something which is frequent here in Austria.
Ooh, Big Man fails to get the first DRS zone.
That is
So boys, quick update on Freeze over here.
Yep, let's go.
Freeze seems to have disconnected from his game on lap 30, and his AI is taken over, and the AI is driving over now. Hence, he is lingering over in P4 at the last of the leaderboard.
Yep, back at the pack. Freeze unfortunate after qualifying pole.
Yeah, bro.
Yep, oh, Freeze is here. Yes, Freeze is here with the commentators in the commentators box. What is up, Freeze? Brilliant start, clearly, and you had an incredible, start. But let's finish this off. UK with a brilliant P1 at the Austrian GP. Fantastic race by him. And looks like Big Man Joe's in striking distance. Freeze, stay with us. We will talk to you soon. And Big Man Joe on the tail of Vix 356. It's a last minute pull by these two. And it could be. Yup. Oh my god. Did you see that finish?
Yeah, that was a photo finish. And I guess Vix 356 edged him out by a wing, I would say.
Yup. By a wing. Incredible stuff. What a finish. What a finish. And of course,
I wonder if Big Man Joe would have gotten the first DRS zone in Sector 1, he would have won P2
Yeah,
very, very comfortably.
of course, our Racing Point stars of the chat, so to speak, Hyrox24 comes across the line P7 and only Copy will come across the line P9, putting both the Racing Points in the points. So brilliant race to both of them. An incredible debut by only Copy. And of course, after
dropping to P10.
Yep, after penalties. Yep. But still a point nonetheless. Brilliant. Fantastic race. What a fight for P2. What a fight. Freeze, are you with us?
I wonder what would have happened if the first DRS zone was in his grasp. That was certainly an exciting end.
Yep. Of course, UK, rightfully the winner. Incredible race. I think he gave it his all here. And yep, well deserved. P1 for UK in the hearts. P2 for Wix356 for holding off Big Man Joe at the end of the race. Fantastic battle for P2. And of course, Big Man Joe getting on top of the podium. Still leading the drivers' standings. And of course, he'll be looking forward to keep that dominance going. That's a wrap of the Austrian GP. Rudra, incredible as always.
Austria GP never fails to disappoint.
Yep.
Sorry, I mean always does so well. Almost had my mind get befuddled there for a moment.
Exactly, and of course, huge ups, huge thanks to Steve Watson for all those brilliant insights. As you can see, the Bwoah Racing League team is expanding. They're impeccable with what they do, and we'll be looking forward to give you all immense racing action in the weekends to come. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Cheers.